It's supernatural.
For he himself is our peace,
who has made both Jew
and Gentile into one,
and broke down the barrier of the dividing wall.
His purpose was to create in himself.
To create in himself.
His purpose was to create one new man. One new man.
One new man.
Один новый человек.
Adam Hadash Echad.
One new man.
Sid Roth has found the key to worldwide revival. This is God's time to reach the Jewish people with his love. Messiah Jesus has torn down the wall dividing Jew and Gentile. The two together form one new man to reach the world. God's method to reach the Jewish people is through signs and wonders. This is why our website, sidroth.org, is jam-packed with tools to equip you to move in signs and wonders, understand Israel and the Jewish roots of the church. Log on to sidroth.org today. We now return to It's Supernatural.
Hello, Sid Roth here with Mary Jo Pennington, known as Ma Jo, and her granddaughter frequently goes to heaven. And what a blessing you have to be able to talk to her. And what you told me is she doesn't like to look up, because when she looks up, she's in heaven.
Yes.
So, I mean, if she wants to be just, playing with her rabbits and her little horsies, she's, like a normal, well, she's 7 now. But it must be, there's so many things in this book and experiences that she had. And people are saying when they read this book, heaven becomes so real to them, because it's from the eyes of a 4-year-old.
Yes.
But how about music? Did she hear any music in heaven?
Well, as a matter of fact, just as she was leaving the little girl's place, she wanted to explore. She was looking for the boys section, and as she walked through, glancing at their rooms, she heard some music, and she said it wasn't like anything she had ever heard on the earth. It was really beautiful, beautiful music. And she went and looked in a window, and she saw that there was a teenage boy in there writing a song, and Jesus was helping him. And Jesus' rainbow was actually changing the color of the room to different colors. As it emanated out from him, it comes out. It isn't static. It comes away from him in glory. The glory colors roll from him like they're alive. And his room was changing colors. But they invited her in. And as she went in, she had picked up some gold dust. It's everywhere, all over heaven. She had some in her hand. And as she went in, Jesus and the teenage boy asked her to fix the old instrument he was playing because it was broken in two. And she reached out with her hand with that gold dust in it and touched it. And zoop, went back together. That's how she said it. And so then she and Jesus went on over to the throne room from there. And as Jesus walked into the throne room, he had this massively large rainbow circling him. And as the front edge of his rainbow touched the massive, awesome glory of God that emanates from him, their two rainbows combined, and it was like an explosion of color, like fireworks. And they more or less danced together. The colors were like living colors, and they more or less danced together and made fireworks, colors she had never seen. And then she saw a place in front of the throne that was like a lake, and she said they were dancing on the water. She thought it was water, and it was the crystal sea. And one day, beside the pool, she stretched her arms out as though she was holding on to somebody on both sides of her. And she did a very graceful, beautiful turnings and wonderful dancing, much like the Hebrew dancing. But they were doing this on the crystal sea, and she did that with them on the crystal sea.
Do you or did she get any insight as to what she's being prepared for? I mean, this is a highly unusual thing. She's a highly favored young girl.
Yes.
What is she being prepared for?
She made the statement not 2 weeks ago, I was sent back here to preach. I'm going to be a preacher. I'm going to be a lady pastor. But she knows that she's not ready now. She says, I don't have the power yet. And I know God will let her know that. When the power comes upon her, then she'll preach. But she's very private now.
Now I'm reminded of this. You took her to a Messianic Jewish synagogue, and she saw the circle Jewish dances.
Yes.
Was it similar to what was in heaven?
Actually, yes, it was almost identical. And when they had, it was at Hanukkah, they had some songs in Hebrew up on a screen, which we couldn't see because there were very tall people in front of us, and as they were dancing, everybody in the congregation was singing there were like 3 songs in Hebrew. As she was singing every word in Hebrew, and everybody on both sides of her could hear her singing it, and we have no idea how she knew that. And later on questioning her, she admitted that she had sung those songs when she was on the Crystal Sea with the saints.
My goodness. Speaking of Jewish songs, you had a dream about Israel.
Yes,
Tell me about that.
I did. I dreamed that my husband and myself and Victoria and her mommy, Sandy, were in Israel. And we were about to go into Jerusalem, and we were being bombed. Planes came over and bombed, and a lot of people were hurt. And we were hurt. And we had hidden in this little garage, and as we stepped out, the atmosphere was thick, like Jell-O, not quite as firm as Jell-O, but you could feel the atmosphere was thick. You could see stuff floating in the atmosphere, like we could see the DNA and the cells and the atoms and rainbows floating. And a voice came out of the atmosphere and said, "Drink in, open your mouth, drink in my protoplasm, drink in my DNA, drink in my atoms and cells and rainbows." And as we did, we were pulling into our mouth and opening our mouth and breathing it in and swallowing. We were made totally whole. All of our hurts were healed. We were made to feel so light and airy and full of energy that we could have floated to Jerusalem. We were so airy and full of the spirit of the Holy Spirit. It was just an awesome experience in this dream. I don't know what it means, but I do know that God's presence is all around us at all times. I believe we're surrounded by His DNA that will heal us if we just receive it into ourselves.
You know what thought I'm having as you're talking about this? I'm thinking about the book of Esther. And remember, Esther soaked for 6 months in oil of myrrh, and then 6 months in perfume, and all the virgins were just soaking in this oil. And as Majo was sharing this dream that she had, I really believe that it is possible to soak in the presence of God. Yes. And take, you know what, I can vision this. I can vision, if someone's going in for an operation, they might put a mask on with something so they'll go to sleep. And what you do is you breathe in deep.
You breathe in.
And when you breathe this in, before you know it, the bad stuff's all over. Well, I believe that that's what Esther was breathing in. That's what all the virgins in the land were breathing in. And that's what not just the people of Israel, but wherever you live, I believe that it's possible for you to breathe in rarefied air. What is this rarefied air? It's the air of heaven.
Yes.
And when this life just comes into you, it's like a river, and it will heal wherever this river goes. I'm reminded of Ezekiel. Are you familiar with that? Where the water from the temple went up to the ankles and then to the knees, and then they had to swim. I mean, we're hearing such horrible things going on in the world. We're hearing about potential nations, rogue nations trying to, that are going to bomb other nations. Yes. We're hearing about bird flu. We're hearing about earthquakes and hurricanes and volcanoes. We're hearing about things going on in the economy. We're hearing about terrorists. I mean, you can hear enough stuff to go abyssal meshuggah. That's crazy. But what if we could breathe in the life of God?
Yes.
Why don't you do that right now? The life of God has a name. In Hebrew, it's Yeshua.
Yes.
In English, it's Jesus. Just picture that mask going over your face, and you're breathing in the life of God. And you say, "Thank you, Yeshua." And I believe that every time you breathe in more of God's life, wherever the river goes, Ezekiel 47 tells us, there is life. And wherever God goes, there is life. One more quick thought about heaven.
Well, heaven is got so much joy. She spent so much time with the children. The children can jump into a rainbow, and they can swim fly up to a cloud, and on that cloud are waiting for them a lot of those little animals, and they all get together and they slide back down the other side of the slide. And there are two different places she mentioned landing. She lands in piles of gold dust, and sometimes they land in the river and just float down the river back to the baby place. But the essence of heaven is thicker than the essence of earth. The air is thicker. And the presence of God and Jesus is really thick. And when she's on his lap, it flows between God and her. It's like a substance. When he says, I love you, Victoria, a substance flows into her. And when she says, I love you, Father, it flows back to him. When she would say, Jesus, I love you, it would flow between them. She thought their cheeks would be wet because that substance that she saw around them. It smells good, it tastes good, and she can hear angels in it.
Listen, God is good. Have you been breathing in that rarefied air? It's in Yeshua's name.
Yes.
There is life in his name, healing in his name.
On today's program, you've heard only a portion of 4.5-year-old Victoria's story about her visit to heaven and back. Call now and get your copy of 6 Big Angels and find out the entire story of what she witnessed, heard, and experienced. It's yours for a donation of only $18 postage paid. Ask for order number 1042. This book reveals the reality of heaven, angels, and the loving and merciful nature of God. This is a book that will heal broken hearts. It will bring comfort to those who lost loved ones. Your longing to spend all eternity in heaven with God will be increased. Your fear of death will be overcome. You'll receive answers to these questions. Will we see our loved ones in heaven? What happens to unborn babies in heaven? Do children abandoned by their parents hold contempt in their hearts? Will we look the same in heaven? Where do people live in heaven? What is the throne room of heaven like? What does Jesus look like? Are there gold-paved streets in heaven? Call and get your copy of 6 Big Angels for a donation of $18. Postage is included. Or you can write to Sid Roth. It's Supernatural. Post Office Box 1918, Brunswick, Georgia 31521. Please specify order number 1042 or log on to sidroth.org. Many have said after reading this book they began to encounter their own visitations of the heavenly realm. Call or write today for your copy of this life-changing book.
If you're encouraged and helped by these television programs, please consider assisting us with future productions. Send your tax-deductible gift to Sid Roth, Post Office Box 1918, Brunswick, Georgia 31521. Call toll-free at 1-800-548-1918 or visit our website at sidroth.org.